Something's about to happen. Something major.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I saw that the Tomorrowverse was essentially doing the crossover equivalent of rebooting its universe so soon after its inception, I wasn't excited for it. Crisis on Infinite Earths may have been the first DC crossover that was primarily meant to clean house, but it was also a compelling story about all the characters who were part of the DC multiverse before. So I had my doubts about how a universe which barely established its characters could even pull off such an epic crossover. So this movie actually spends most of its runtime working on establishing that universe. It knows that certain things have happened in the background, like the creation of the Justice League and many other things, and it decides to actually spend some time working on that, giving us how all of that happened. It is a little too late, but it does do just enough so that the movie actually feels like it has some weight. Now, in Justice League Warworld, this was a problem because they spent 80% of that movie, hell, even more if I'm being honest, just trying to build up to the final moment and then not giving enough time to that moment. In this case, because there are going to be 2 more movies after this, they were able to sort of take their time and work on fleshing out the Tomorrowverse. I'm not gonna say it's ideal, but hey, better late than never. Like how Avengers Infinity War decides to sort of establish Thanos by making him the main character, something similar happens in this movie. Barry Allen takes center stage throughout, and it's through his eyes and his feet that we see how the world gets to progress. It's actually one of the first times in a long time I felt like Barry was a very compelling protagonist, and towards the end, the movie had a lot of weight. And I also feel like I should address this. There are some Crisis stuff that's been changed around just a little bit, but it does try to be as faithful as possible to the original Crisis. It's not 100% faithful. There are moments which will make you go, I don't know if I like what they did there. And they certainly didn't bother developing a lot of the characters we see in the background. But it is satisfactory to a point where I don't mind the changes enough. I know some people will disagree with me on this, but hey, it's all about how you view the changes. Another thing that sort of surprised me was that despite the fact that I went into this movie knowing that it would be part 1 of 3, I was expecting a lot of padding. Now, I won't exactly know how much of it was padding until I see the next 2 movies, but surprisingly, there's not a lot of setup for Crisis on Infinite Earths, to a point where you might actually think that the movie basically ends here, which is a weird thing. There are some little plot points that are unresolved, but it's not distracting. I mean, I wasn't thinking about, there are 2 more movies coming after this constantly while I was watching this, and that's kind of a plus for a movie labeled Part 1. There's really no point going over characters throughout this. A lot of them show up in this story. Most of them not very developed. that's been the Tomorrowverse's bane. There are some characters who kind of are well written, changed up though they may be, but I didn't mind them for the role they are playing. Barry is obviously the one who gets the lion's share of the development, and he's great. I really do like how he's portrayed in this. As for the animation and art style, well, it's the Tomorrowverse. I think I've said this before. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. At this point, I'm okay with it. Honestly, I wasn't sure at the beginning before watching this that I would recommend this movie. But I'm not just gonna recommend it based on the fact that there are 2 more movies coming out, let's see how it plays out, but it actually might be a pretty decent view on its own, which is something I never expected to say. This might be one of the best Tomorrowverse movies, which is both great and a sad statement on how these movies have been so far. But hey, check it out.